Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. I have 3 new things to talk about that I've put on my spreadsheet called Jewish specific signs. This one we've already talked about a million times. It's this chasm that formed after an earthquake in a Mount of Olives in Turkey. There's an olive grove right there. It's on top of this kind of hill or mountain similar to the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem, but this was in Turkey. We're going to talk about this. Even though we've talked about it before, we're going to talk about what happened the day after, because there was something that happened at the Dome of the Rock, which I think is also a sign. And then we're going to cover, I don't think that I've talked about this on the channel. A lot of people sent this to me, and I saw it when it happened on X, is where I saw it. But you have a Turkish member of parliament that had a heart attack after saying that basically that Israel will suffer Allah's wrath. After he said that, he fell down. He had a heart attack. So I have these 3 things on this spreadsheet, and they're new to the spreadsheet. And even though they're old, I think that they're worth reviewing. My spreadsheets it's like a work of passion, you guys. Since I'm putting all this time into this channel, you know, I want to put a bunch of time into these spreadsheets and try and capture all the significant things, whether it's signs or quotes or stories or whatever. I've never had this much information before organized in this type of way. And it's similar to, I just want to explain really quick. It's similar to my stepdad. My dad passed away in 2015. My mom remarried, and her husband, he does these models. Like here, this is a model. It's not a photo of a U2, an actual U2. It's a model that he made and painted, and he does tons of these, and he does such a good job. And I've always admired that type of thing, when somebody has a passion and they work really hard and get really detailed and try and get it to perfection. So, you know, he does this. I've always admired that ever since I met him. I also like watching Adam Savage's Tested channel on YouTube. He also has a lot of passion projects. He creates a lot of replicas and models and just interesting things, and it takes so much skill and craftsmanship that I watch it because I'm just so fascinated and inspired when I see people that put a lot of effort into something. And so for me, the day may come where I do models. I did models when I was a teenager, but I haven't done any since that time. I would like to do it again. But in the meantime, you know, my model that I'm working on are these spreadsheets. I love them, and it requires a lot of effort. I have to go back time and time again and review things and refine how I have the information laid out and fill in the gaps. And so that's what we're doing with this video. So I have these 3 new items, and we'll go in order. So we've talked about the fact that this was, I can't believe that this happened, by the way. So this was February 6th of 2023. There was a 7.8 earthquake that, Turkey with a Y, that split this grove of olives on a mountain into 2. And I have the pictures of it. Here's the CNN article that I usually refer to. But there are other places. There's this. You can see it's pretty dramatic. It's really deep. This was caused by an earthquake. And it makes me take notice because this is what we expect to see in Jerusalem with the Mount of Olives. The terrain looks pretty similar. It's kind of hilly / mountainy. Not like the Rocky Mountains, but you know, the mountains in the Middle East. And here you can see the olive grove, and then just right down the middle here, it's split into 2. I take that as a big sign. This is like a foreshadowing of what is going to happen when Christ comes to the Jews in Jerusalem. To me, it's mind-blowing. And I don't think that we can ignore it. So this is what it looks like in Turkey. I have it on Google Earth. I tried to locate it here. This is like a new satellite image. This is from April 1st, 2024. But as of yet, I haven't been able to locate where this chasm is, but it's like somewhere around here. But it was a result of that powerful earthquake. There were actually, two earthquakes. There was like an aftershock, and this is where. But you'll notice that, let me fix this. Okay, this is just north of Israel. So like geographically speaking, it's pretty close to Israel. It's really, really close. Maybe that's how close we are to the second coming, relatively speaking, when we're talking about time. So, I've took note of this. I've talked about it a million times on the channel. Oh yeah, here's this, just so you can kind of get a sense of what the Mount of Olives looks like. There's the BYU Jerusalem Center right there. Here's the Mount of Olives. You can see it's not like a towering mountain. It's just kind of like a big hill. And it's very similar to what you see here. Okay, so you have that really strange occurrence. And then the very next day, and as a result of that earthquake, this is Israel 365 News. After earthquake and rain, damage reported at the Muslim structures on the Temple Mount. All right. Arab media reported on Tuesday that pieces of mosaics containing anti-Christian verses from the Quran began falling off the facade of the Dome of the Rock. On Tuesday morning, Arab media began posting reports that a mosaic tile was falling off the western facade of the Dome of the Rock located on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. On Monday, Jerusalem experienced heavy rain, and the earthquake that devastated Turkey and Syria was also felt in the city. Okay, so we just talked about this unlikely thing. I don't know how often you've seen mounts of olives splitting into two because of earthquakes, but for me, it's a first. And it caused, of all places, it caused damage on the Temple Mount to the Dome of the Rock. For me, this is kind of a big sign when you put it all together. A little bit later in the article, the tiles on the exterior feature Arabic calligraphy recording Surah Yasin, the heart of the Quran, which was commissioned in the 16th century by Suleiman the Magnificent. The surah relates that after the Mahdi, or the Muslim Messiah, only the followers of Muhammad will be resurrected, noting specifically that the apostles of Jesus are quote-unquote imposters and threatened with stoning. While some Muslims claim the Temple Mount is the location of Muhammad's night journey, described in Surah 17 of the Quran, most Sunni dispute this, and there is no mention of this in the calligraphic decorations anywhere on the Temple Mount. The mosaics on the interior of the Dome of the Rock are Quranic, rejecting the divinity of Jesus. Okay, so, and of course, the things said here, this is according to the author's opinion. This is what is my problem right now? Adam Eliyahu Berkowitz, the one that I interviewed recently about the red heifers. He's Jewish. He's an Orthodox Jew. So you can understand the tensions that there are between, Jews and Arabs. But I wanted to look into this more because that would make it even more of a sign if you have verses of the Quran that were damaged as a result of this earthquake, right? Again, seemingly a foreshadowing of Christ coming to the Mount of Olives, and this foreshadowing earthquake causing damage to verses that are against the divinity of Christ. Now, before I continue, I just want to make clear our church's position when it comes to Arabs, Muslims, Palestinians, all that. I'm just reading from my quotes A through Z spreadsheet, the row for Palestinians, but I have these same quotes under Arabs, Muslims, and I think I have another one for Islam, just so that you can easily find it. So the first one is David O. McKay, president of the church, the 2nd of November, 1961. This is from his diaries. I just want to read this last part here. So basically, Israel had invited top church officials to come to Israel and talk. They were inviting lots of religious groups to come and visit Israel. And toward the end here, it says, "I merely told Brother Murdoch that I look somewhat upon this invitation from Israel as propaganda, in that he should be careful not to neglect the Arabs, who are as important as the Jews, and that he should give them the same attention and same consideration in all their air travel as they paid to the people of Israel. So far as the church is concerned, the Arabs are just as important as the Jews. Have another one here from Howard W. Hunter. I'm not going to read this whole thing, just maybe a little bit. At the present time, we are engaged in a project of beautifying the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem by a garden in memory of Orson Hyde, an early apostle of the church, and the dedicatory prayer he offered on that site. It is not because we favor one people over another. Jerusalem is sacred to the Jews, but it is also sacred to the Arabs. And then he goes on to say, both the Jews and the Arabs are children of our Father. They are both children of promise. And as a church, we do not take sides. And then he elaborates more. And then, excuse me, the most recent one that I have is from Elder Quentin L. Cook of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. He's talking about how the Kirtland Temple dedicatory prayer is what started the gathering of the Jews to Israel. A lot of times we think of Orson Hyde because he physically went there and dedicated the land, but it actually started with the dedicatory prayer of the Kirtland Temple, which was given by revelation, and he actually reads that here. It says, "From this hour may begin to be redeemed," referring to the Jews returning to the land. Later on, he talks about the Balfour Declaration, and he says, the declaration was sent to Lord Walter Rothschild, a leader of the Zionist Jewish community. It should be noted that the declaration included the language, quote, "Nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine," end quote. This is consistent with the position the church has always taken. Okay, so we have three different prophets, apostles, confirming that. I'm sure there's more quotes out there somewhere. If you have any, feel free to send them to me and I'll add it to the spreadsheet. So what I'm about to read right here, it's not to bash on Muslims or anything like that. But I did want to look into these inscriptions that are on the Dome of the Rock, this like calligraphic, writing, or this special calligraphy with the writing on the Dome of the Rock. I checked the article that Adam had referenced in his article. It comes from this Il Risala net, and it just kind of like said what he already said, but this is where what he was referring to. And then I tried to look up somewhere that translated the inscriptions on the Dome of the Rock. I first came across this one. This is IslamicAwarenessorg, and it has like a floor plan. Excuse me. Excuse me. And it points out a few different areas. It points out the inner octagonal arcade right here. So here's like the foundation stone. You have this ring right here, which I think itself is an arcade, or it's a colonnade. Then you have this area. Then you have an arcade, which is like a row of arches right here. And then it wasn't really clear to me. This diagram looks like this is like the outside of the Dome of the Rock, like on the other side of this thick black line, you'd be on the outside, and this is the inside. So I looked through here, it has the inscriptions for the inner octagonal. Oh my God, why am I having such a hard time with these words? Octagonal arcade. And then let me just read some of what it says there just to give you an idea. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just the parts that I highlighted. "Do not exaggerate in your religion, nor utter aught concerning God, save the truth. The Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary, was only a messenger of God, and his word, which he conveyed unto Mary, and a spirit from him. So believe in God and his messengers, and say not three, cease, it is." So I guess that's like aimed at Christians talking about like the Holy Trinity. I think that's what it's referring to. So it's saying don't say three because it's only one God. Cease, it is. Cease, it is better for you. God is only one God. Far be it removed from his transcendent majesty that he should have a son. Then later on, "O God, bless your messenger and your servant Jesus, son of Mary. Peace be on him the day he was born, and the day he dies, and the day he shall be raised alive. Such was Jesus, son of Mary." That is a statement of the truth concerning which they doubt. "It befitteth not the majesty of God that he should take unto himself a son." And then later, "God himself is witness that there is no God save him, maintaining his creation in justice. There is no God save him, the Almighty to the wise." Okay, and then you have inscriptions of the outer octagonal, oh my God, octagonal arcade. And it seems like this is also on the inside of the building because it's talking about this space right here. I have a 360. So here's the inside of the Dome of the Rock. And you can see that initial like circle, like and there's an arcade right here. But then you have kind of like an outer arcade. And so I think the inscriptions that we just read was from the inside of that. And then there's the outside. But the article that we read talked about, it seemed like it was talking about the outer facade of the building, like the outside. So anyway, I tried to see if I could find anything talking about the outside of the building, and writing on the outside. I came across this, Square Kufik, the Dome of the Rock, reading its iconographic project. And it says here, approaching to the building, the text written on the outer face of the arcade reads. So I think this is the outside. And so this is the part that would have been, it's like somewhere here, like some of these verses that would have been affected by the earthquake. But that says, let me just read some of this. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, there is no God but God. He is one. He has no associate. And then later, he neither begets nor is born, nor is there to him any equivalent. He has no associate, who has not taken a son and has had no partner. He has no associate. He has no associate. And that's basically it. Those would be the parts that would relate to Christianity on this like outer inscription. So whatever the case, that's what happened. Earthquake in Turkey splits a Mount of Olives in two in Turkey. The earthquake is felt all the way down to Israel. It damages the Dome of the Rock, and it damages some of these verses that are on these tiles on the Dome of the Rock that have to do with Christ and how he's not divine and so on and so forth. So make of that what you will, but I am going to record it on here. So first day you have the earthquake. Second day you have the damage to the Dome of the Rock. Okay, and the last one that I wanted to share is more recent. I think I may have just mentioned this in passing in some video, but so this was December 12th of 2023. Just go straight to the article. This is the Times of Israel. A Turkish member of parliament has heart attack moments after saying Israel will suffer Allah's wrath. And there's video of it on X. I'm not going to show that, but here's you can see that. The Turkish lawmaker collapsed in parliament Tuesday, suffering a heart attack at the end of a live-streamed parliamentary speech in which he slammed Israel and said it wouldn't be able to escape the wrath of Allah, quote unquote. Keep in mind, this is just 2 months after the war started. Hassan Bitmez, 53, of the conservative Felicity Party, delivered an address at the General Assembly of the Turkish Parliament, ending it by saying that, quote, "We can perhaps hide from our conscience, but not from history." And by addressing the Jewish state, he said, "You will not escape the wrath of Allah." He then said, "I salute you all," immediately before collapsing to the ground at the podium with his head hitting the floor. And then it turns out, after this article was written, in a follow-up from another website, Business Insider, he passed away. So he did not recover from that. I would caution you against dehumanizing people because it's easy to look at the other side. whatever your cause is, looking at the other side and just demonizing everybody, demonizing, dehumanizing, being like, well, he gets what he deserves. And, we leave that up to God, and this could definitely be a sign, but he has a family, and his mind may not be right. His heart, I don't know. I don't know him personally, but I really don't like the behavior. Like when there's like the bad guy, that you just take all humanity from whoever it is. It doesn't matter how bad they are, because whoever that person is, they have parents, they have loved ones, and they are a child of God, right? That doesn't mean that we have to praise them or anything like that, but just please resist the tendency to just give yourself the green light to, mentally stone people that are the bad guys, right? Not calling him necessarily a bad guy, but I don't like what he said. You understand what I'm saying. So that's what I have. It's going to take time. I've done so many videos and just so many of them before I started keeping these spreadsheets. So I'll probably come across more things that I've talked about before and then add them on here so we can keep track. You can come here anytime. The link for my spreadsheets is in the description box below. The one that we're looking at is called Signs Jewish Specific. You can just click on the 3 lines at the bottom left, and it'll pull up all the different spreadsheets that I have. And you can look through here. There's been a lot. All the ones that I have are from 2018 until now. So from President Nelson's first year as president of the church. And there have been some pretty wild things that have been going on. Things that I think that the Jews would take as a sign. And I know that they are, because you have these articles that are being written. So, all right, well, that's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.